I'd like to just briefly follow up on an email that I sent to Tony regarding an issue that I would like followed up on. I've already pinged some of the council members on this, so I think I know where it's going to go, but I'll throw it out there anyway. Recently, the city voted to approve the city manager to enter into negotiations with Verizon to place a cell tower into Morris Park. I voted against it, and so I'm kind of in an odd position here. But I've really been looking at the cell tower issues. I've been looking at the information that was in the packets both this year and last year when the issue initially was raised. And there's some information I would like to see in that packet, particularly because we're going to have to vote on whether or not the lease is going to be improved in the future. So I just wanted to, briefly for the public, the information that I would be looking for is coverage data to justify why Verizon needs to be placing a cell tower in a park, as well as the research that they did in placing the cell tower in the park as opposed to other land. I mean, these cell towers have up to a 45-mile radius. And obviously, topography impacts that. But I would just like to see more information from Verizon before we make the final decision to place this tower in one of our parks. And so I'll just throw it out there to see if I have any support, just to make this information request.
Do any of the council members wish to comment on this?
It's only information.
One of the things we asked Verizon to look at before they came back when it was first proposed, when we looked at their plans, we asked them to look at other locations. So I understand the reasoning. I don't think it costs these companies money to come up with plans and look for various locations. So I don't think they do it lightly. I think that the fact that they do it for a variety of reasons, whether it's coverage, convenience of its customers, and service to its customers, as well as working with the city, not only as a as a company that offers its services to city residents, but also works in partnership with the city to make sure that the residents have access to those services as well. So I don't believe that they're going to propose something, a cell tower or any other facility that doesn't have a legitimate need and is well justified in improving service or providing the best service available for coverage. So the fact that they actually did look at other sites suggests to me that this is still a site that's is going to offer the best service for them and the best service for Verizon customers as well as our city residents. I think that it's well justified. I don't think the fact that it's on a light pole, an existing light pole, the fact that it's on a light pole means that it's not introducing a new element or facility into the environment where we have it. Where we've asked them to put it, as the original proposal was basically a freestanding tower in the park. So they've moved it. They've actually added it to a pole that already exists. It'll extend the height of that pole, but for the most part, I think it'll be obscured by the use of the pole. So I don't find any compelling reason to reopen this. Certainly, I think we can take your thoughts and ideas and discuss this as we anticipate we'll have requests for other facilities to be installed and look at the conditions and the criteria in which we'll approve those and the kind of information we ask for. But I don't see any reason to reopen this one.
Just a quick response, Mr. Mayor. I mean, I asked the city manager for that information, which is the other sites they considered, and what was provided back was they considered the commercial building next door to Morris Park. And so if they did consider other sites, then it should not be any burden to ask them to provide the information of what sites they did consider. So I'll just add that and throw that out there.
Any other comments?
I mean, I agree with Mike. I mean, we discussed it at some length. Putting this on a light pole is one of the most obvious places to put it. There's no new tower. There's already other issues that the neighbors face. This is a good distance away from houses. It's on a light tower. There's ball games and lights and noise and kids playing. So the tower's got to be just another element, and I don't think it's warranted enough to reopen it. And as we go forward, we'll take all this into consideration as the new towers come on, but right now I think we need to leave things as is.
Anyone else?
Oh, do we need to survey everyone?
It's totally optional.
For me, this as a process perspective, generally, I'm not a fan of reconsidering or unwinding final decisions that have already been made unless there's a truly compelling reason. And while I think Rob's questions are interesting and should be considered moving forward in the future, potentially with other sites, frankly, I don't find it to be a compelling reason to have to reopen a decision that's already been made final. We've already considered a number of these sites over my time on the council, and I've found the process to be fine without any real, major problems or concerns, particularly in the way that the providers have managed to integrate their towers into the park facilities that we've already had performed over the last several years. And so given that, and given that I don't really feel that there's any truly compelling need to reopen this particular issue, I'm going to pass. But I appreciate the effort to try and gather as much information as you can.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, could I just ask a procedural question for Lynn? My understanding is that the vote was to authorize the city manager to negotiate.
Correct.
And that's as far as it went, so nothing's final.
That is
And
correct.
so we do have various opportunities to consider more information in the future as we delve into the topic of whether or not we should sign a ground lease with Verizon to place a cell tower in the middle of Morris Park. So nothing's, just to...
Can I interrupt you?
I-
You keep characterizing this as placing a cell tower in the middle of Morris Park. It's being placed on top of a light pole. It's not intruding on it. It's not creating another facility. It's using an existing facility and placing a cell tower on top of that. So, let's be, if you want the public to know what we've done, this is what we've provided. This is the access that we've provided to Verizon. It's not in the middle of the park. It's on a light pole that happens to be in the outfield of both ball fields in that park. That's where it is.
Rob, go ahead and finish your point.
Oh, no, I was just asking a procedural question.
I think that the question was, this did come to the mayor and council, and you all did authorize a resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate the lease, but not to execute. So this will come back to you at the future for authorization for the city manager to execute. So there's certainly the opportunity to ask additional questions or seek additional information as part of that process.
Okay. Okay. Well then, Rob, did you have anything more?
No, I mean, I just want to, I've kind of been peppering this behind the scenes, and I at least appreciate the candor of my colleagues and the back and forth that we've had
Right.
as they try to mentor me through this first 6 months of my sitting up here.
I'd like to just add one piece, which is that it's very difficult in these kinds of situations to balance the needs of everybody, and everybody includes a phone company that hears from its cell phone clients that they want better reception. The reason that I wouldn't really want to reconsider it, considering that we've been down this road before, and I think we've talked through the issues as everyone's expressed, but also it's at this point, changing the rules of the game essentially is unfair to the vendor that's coming through, that's basically has to at this stage of the game spend a fair amount of money on engineering and other plans to figure out what's going on. So what their request was, in my understanding last time, was let us know if you're likely to go ahead, assuming a deal can be cut on the normal terms, and before they make the investment going the rest of the way. I think this city's policy has generally been to try to be reasonable to work with and not like some other governmental organizations that we hear about where, you don't know where you stand. So I think once we make a call, I'd prefer, whether it's for residents or for businesses or whoever, that we play fair and stick with it. So that's why I'm staying the course here.
Would you support requesting it if it does not cause Verizon to current? If they've already got the information, what does it hurt? I could call them, I guess, but they'd probably be easier for me to call.
I was under the impression that we had kind of already told them that before we voted at that meeting that we were interested in that, and Tony and they had a conversation, and I don't know if I were them how much information I'd want to give out anyway in terms of well, we look here, we look there. So anyway, it just doesn't seem. It just seems like we're trying to change the rules past the point of where we should be doing that sort of thing. And again, as everyone said, each time an issue like this comes along, I'm happy to have the discussion and make sure that we get as much information as we're comfortable asking for and that's fair to all parties.
Okay. We're going to move on to Councilmember Maratha.
Well, I want to thank everybody from Saybrook.
Oh, wait.
I'm
We have one more.
I'm monopolizing. I just have to read something that the mayor gave me. Open house announcement, former Consumer Product Safety Commission.